Okay guys, we're in Melbourne, Florida, located on the central east coast of Florida. We are headed west, inland. There is a beach side of Melbourne, Florida, and then there's inland. And we are headed inland. I'm going to be taking you through Melbourne, and we're going to end up, I believe, at the FedEx shipping center. I have a member of my channel who is considering a job transfer from Indiana, and he works for FedEx, so he's either going to go to Melbourne, Florida, or Naples, Florida. So the East Coast and the West Coast of Florida is different. Naples, Florida is southwest. It's a beautiful area. And so, you know, I can understand why someone would want to go there. I do prefer the East Coast because of the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, I prefer to be a little bit more south than we are now. But this is still a nice area of Florida, the Space Coast. This is where NASA, now SpaceX, is located. It is located, though, on the beach side in Cape Canaveral. And, you know, this general area is overall nice. Once you get inland, it does have, like, a more of an industrial feel. The streets are not as new and as nice as some of the areas in South Florida. So you're not going to maybe feel super tropical or super lush landscaping. But Melbourne, Florida, overall, the areas are overall good. Beachside is obviously a little bit nicer. Inland does have some rough spots towards the south side. We're driving now more towards the north side. But I just figure I'd give you perspective. This is Route 1. We are north facing, which is a major highway in Florida, Route 1. And then Route A1A on the beach side is another major one. But we're going to proceed again. So if someone was like driving to work in Melbourne, Florida, and they were working in one of the corporations here, Harris Corporation, there's a couple defense contractors. There's an Air Force base on Satellite Beach, which is about 10 minutes up the road. And whatever, you know, there's hospitals here, there's schooling. I hear the schools are overall good in most of the areas here. I don't have kids, so I can't verify that. But you see this highway here, Highway 1, on the inland side of Melbourne. There's nothing special to it. To the right is the intercoastal. There's a river, I believe it's the Indian River. And then on the other side of the river is the ocean. So that's what makes it nice. You are kind of like surrounded by water, so you have some options there. And again, this is a NASA Boulevard. We're going to be making a left on, headed towards the FedEx shipment center. There's some commercial buildings towards the left. There's some car dealerships. So, you know, like any major highway, right, you have, you know, some commercial buildings and stores. But, you know, Melbourne, Florida has a downtown. It has some bars and restaurants, but it's not a high-end area. It's not a low-end area. It's kind of like the middle of the road. Overall, the people I've met here have been very nice. I really have had no issue. So I would say overall, a community culture overall is positive. You know, again, you always have your good and your bad areas. But most people here, like most people in Florida, are transients or transplants, I should say. They've come from another state in America and they've relocated here. There are some, of course, locals that grew up here, but most people come from another state and they either retire in the area or they have moved here in their middle age. They got a job transfer, or they just, you know, uprooted their life and changed, whatever it may be. So, you know, when you're in this central part and you're not in South Florida yet, you're not in a full tropical zone. This is kind of like subtropical. So in Naples, Southwest Florida, it'd be full tropical environment. Here, it'd probably be a little bit less vulnerable. In Melbourne, Florida, a little less vulnerable to some hurricanes. So, you know, that may be a plus. Everything is a pro and a con. And right now, the con is we're stopped at this light a little bit long. But, you know, we'll just take our time. But I definitely looked in Melbourne when I was first considering Florida, because I thought it was kind of in the cut, not too crowded, but it had some opportunities with regards to jobs, infrastructure, etc. And I was looking at a townhome community inland off I-95, which is the major highway that runs the stretch of the East Coast in America. So, but I ended up not buying it then. That was like during the housing crisis in 2007, 2008. Now that property's probably doubled. But I guess I'm glad I didn't, because I still do prefer to be a little bit further south. But I do like to come up here, and like I said, I wanted to come up here today for a viewer, a member. He didn't ask me, and that's kind of why I came to. I just wanted to do it for him. And for other people who are thinking of moving to Melbourne, a lot of people are thinking of moving to this area. This area has grown, especially too after SpaceX has took over NASA, and after you got out of the housing crisis. This area has kind of picked up steam again. And, you know, like most of Florida, especially after the pandemic, a lot of people are looking to relocate here, whether they can work remotely or whatever the case may be. But you see now, you know, there's some car dealerships on the left and right, you know, Mazda, Audi, GMC, etc. And but you see we're on NASA Boulevard, so the whole area was kind of centered around NASA, now SpaceX. So that's where the term Space Coast comes from. This area, Melbourne, Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral, this whole general area, Vieira, this is called the Space Coast because of it basically has major roots in the NASA space shuttle program. And I've been to SpaceX. I've been to the NASA. They have like a little museum and stuff. That's nice. Definitely interesting. People here always talk about the shuttle launches because you can get a good visual of the shuttle launches. So that's a big thing here. If you move here, you're going to hear a lot of people talk about, oh, tomorrow's the shuttle launch or whatever it may be, right? So, but you see, this is a Sunday afternoon as I make this. It's the middle of July. It's about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. You see, it's a quiet area overall. You see, it's not lush landscaping. It's not super high-end area, but it's not low-end. Naples, Florida is going to be high-end. Going to be a lot of shopping, and that's it. You know, a little bit more bougie, but nicer probably aesthetically to drive to work. Again, I still prefer the East Coast mainly for the Atlantic Ocean and the energy, and the vibe you get kind of on the East Coast more. But I certainly respect. I like Naples. I like Marcos Island on the West Coast. I like the atmosphere, but there's the Melbourne National Airport to the right, upcoming too. So that's another piece of infrastructure that you have. It's right to our right, the Melbourne small airport. Oh, we're actually not going to go there. Smaller airport, not a major airport like Orlando. But you have these smaller airports. You know, you have a smaller one too in West Palm Beach. But you're about probably a little over an hour away from Orlando here in Melbourne, which that can, you know, be convenient too if you had some job opportunities in Orlando, or if you like Disney World. So there's a hospital, Kindred Hospital, to the left. I have heard relatively good things about the hospitals in this area. Of course, no one wants to go to a hospital, but it's good to know that, you know, they're somewhat well rated, just like the schools seem to be somewhat well rated. You know, in Florida, it's hit or miss. Sometimes the infrastructures, the schools and the hospitals are not as well rated because, again, people are coming here to retire or to transfer. The Harris Corporation, L3 Harris Corporation is to our left. That's a government defense contractor. They have engineering jobs there, and, you know, a bunch of other jobs, project managers, etc. So, you know, but like I was saying, sometimes the schools and the hospitals are not that well rated because people come here to retire, or they definitely did, and, you know, they don't have children, they don't have people in the workforce. And some of the tourist areas, and probably like Naples, even though they're higher end, you got to be careful because not a lot of people go to Naples or to go to any place in Florida and say, I want to become a nurse. So, you know, you don't have a workforce kind of in their prime. You kind of, Northrop Grumman to the right, which is another defense contracting company. So you have job opportunities in Melbourne. And that's why Melbourne kind of has a higher rating of schools and hospitals, because you have people that would come here to have a career or to build their career in aerospace or engineering, etc. So you're having people not just retire here, but raise their family here because there's opportunity here. So in some of the tourist areas, even though they look a lot nicer cosmetically, they don't have that same workforce because people go there to retire, not to raise their family. So that's sometimes why it's a little bit tricky that in a nice looking area, you could have bad hospitals or a bad school system. The reason is because you got an older demographic or just seasonal residents that have a second home there, and they're not in the workforce. And therefore, you know, you have a vacuum of people to fill certain jobs. And we're almost at our destination, but it's a light rain picking up. In the summer, you usually get an afternoon shower, and it passes very quickly. It's rainy season from June to the end of November, technically, is hurricane season. But like I say, I don't really know of any major hurricane that has come to this area in the past 10, 20 years as far as like major damage. So again, that says something within itself, right? I mean, certainly you're going to have storms, but certainly, again, you live up north, you're going to have nor'easters, blizzards. I always give the comparison. I grew up in New Jersey. You know, 10 years ago, we had Hurricane Sandy, which caused major damage. So, you know, you can live anywhere on the East Coast and be affected by a hurricane. But again, I'll point out that the streets are barren Sunday afternoon, not heavily congested in this area. And so this would be like your route to work or whatever it may be. Again, beachside is a little bit nicer than inland side. But, you know, it does matter what you see, I guess, on a day in, day out basis if you're taking these routes to work. Kind of west facing, so we're going towards I-95, and the rain's picking up a hair. The rain is nothing to fear in the summer. You know, it may come down very abruptly and harshly, but it passes very quick like a sun shower. I was worried about that when I came to Florida, like, oh my God, can I handle rainy season? Because I like to go outside and go for walks. And the answer is yes, you can. It's not that bad. It's definitely still better to live in Florida than up north. The rain passes very quick, and in the winter, of course, it's gorgeous. You know, you don't have to really, it's dry, and temperatures are pretty much perfect. Florida is the warmest state in America during the winter months. So, you know, here's Wickerman Road, and, you know, now you got the gas stations, you got the, you know, auto repair shops, etc. So, but again, I want to point out that this is not a tropical type lush high-end environment. It's a middle of the road, almost has like a suburban industrial feel that it's not too charming. And I don't say that in a negative way, but I say that in an honest observation way. So it's like, you know, if you come from Indiana or if you come from another state driving around here, you're not going to say, oh my God, I feel like I'm in tropical paradise. Now, there's some areas within Melbourne and certainly beachside and different areas that you will feel that, right? So, but I want to manage expectations because that's not kind of what Melbourne is, especially inland. Naples, most of the places in Naples is very tropical and magical. However, you know, again, the Gulf of Mexico has a different energy. Some people prefer it, some people don't. I don't prefer the Gulf of Mexico. And, you know, it's just a matter of preference. But, yeah, overall, look, though, I mean, coming from Indiana or coming from another state, then moving to Florida, I think overall it's still a win. There are bad areas in Florida that you wouldn't want to move to, including even pockets in Melbourne. But, you know, that's anywhere. And everywhere you have the good and the bad. Life is not perfect. What we're trying to do in life is build our best life. There's no such thing as a perfect life. And we're collecting data. This video is data. It's information for people. I'm sharing it. So that you can collect all this information and collect your own and form a conclusion. And that's what science is, collecting data, analyzing it, and forming a conclusion. Obviously, there is no substitute for you coming here personally and experiencing it. I often recommend that people come to Florida before, obviously, moving here, because there's so many different parts of Florida. Florida's a very big state. Decide where you want to live, and even when you decide when you want to live, if you can, you'd probably be better off to rent initially until you decide kind of where you want to plant roots, if you want to plant roots. Now, if you ever think about moving back to where you came from, just remember you left for a reason. That's what I always say. And I've had the opportunity to travel up and down the East Coast several times, even after coming to Florida. And every time I leave Florida, I remember why I came to Florida. Florida's magical. Again, this part of Florida is nice, but it's not magical. I'm not going to lie. It's just like a regular suburb. I mean, you're seeing that now, even with the rain coming down a little bit. It's, you know, the landscaping's not lush. This is not, again, we're more of an industrial area, especially now as we're heading to like this FedEx shipment center. You know, so, you know, you have to take that for granted. So I'm not driving around right now a residential community. But I would say Melbourne itself, driving around most of the major streets, it has like this industrial feel. That's the feel it has in my experience. So I'm still very pleased with the overall people, though. I'm very pleased with the overall culture. Again, I think the supporting infrastructure with the companies that are here, the schools and the hospitals, I think that's what makes Melbourne a good investment as far as, you know, having that infrastructure in place. So just something to think about. And I'm just following my GPS to take us. Now, I don't know if this FedEx center that we're going to is the one my member Keith was looking to move to. It's right up the street, but I would think so, because when I Googled it, this is like the only major, well, it was the major FedEx building on Google. I don't know, though, if there was another one. I didn't see another one. But, you know, this feels like a FedEx street. So, again, industrial street, child care, daycare, industrial warehouses. Again, this is a Sunday. So it's about half a mile up this block, and we'll be at the FedEx Center. So, yeah, you know, now, I think Keith is close to retirement in his 60s. So I don't know how long he'd be working here. So maybe he'd want to come here and then, you know, travel around Florida, see if where he'd want to buy. You know, again, if you can do that, that'd be your best bet. Come here first, visit before you make a big purchase. That way you get to experience it for yourself. We're all different, and you get to choose where you want to live based on your own individual preferences, okay? Because my preferences are different than yours, you know, and everyone has their own, you know, unique set of choices. You know, everyone's an individual with their own fingerprint, and that's the way life is. And just about up this road, we'll be at the FedEx, and you see the rain starting to clear out. Sky's clear. Skies are a little bit clearer, I've noticed, in South Florida than Central. I don't know what it is, for the most part. So, here's the FedEx building. Now, I don't know if this is the one he was talking about. You know, this is a FedEx shipment building. So, you see some FedEx cars here. So it may or may not be the FedEx building he was thinking about, but it's data. It's information here that I just shared with you guys that, you know, this is a drive through Melbourne. It's one drive, okay? And it's one perspective. There's many roads. There's many residential communities. There is a downtown, and there is a beach side. There's many sides of Florida. There's many sides of Melbourne. This is just one perspective, but I hope it helped you. If it did help you, click the thumbs up. If you'd like to be a member, click that blue join button. For as little as 33 cents a day, you can support the channel. You can cancel at any time. You get access to all my live feeds, which I do every day. Check out my playlist, which has thousands of free videos about moving to Florida and other things. And thank everyone for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.